Ryan, let me start with you. What types of increase have you seen in the recent weeks coming from Iran targeting the U.S.?
Well, we've seen a continuation of a lot of campaigns that they were already running. At this point, we're tracking 11 different Iranian actors. And perhaps the most interesting thing we saw was we saw some of them move from diplomatic targets, public policy targets, government targets, your classic sort of intelligence gathering activities, to actually target some civilian organizations, specifically in life sciences.
Very interesting. And Ron, I mean, given your background here, what do you see as the path of least resistance for Iran to do the most damage on the U.S.?
So Iran can they can target soft targets, people like you and me, small businesses, small corporations. So anybody who's out there is trying to think about protecting themselves, now's the time to think about their connection to the internet, their connections to the cloud, and what they can do to increase their cyber hygiene.
So Ryan, you mentioned a lot of now civilian targets, a little bit of a shift in strategy. When you say civilian targets, what do you mean?
Well, I mean private corporations rather than government entities or even, frankly, NGOs or other policy organizations. What's interesting is that if you put yourself in the shoes of the Iranians, they're about to deal with much tighter sanctions. They have to feed their population. They have to provide things like essential medicines. So to me, it actually makes perfect sense that they'd start to target organizations like life sciences firms.
And Ryan, when you take a look at sort of the access to U.S. Utilities, is that sort of a very classic way in which they could do harm, create chaos via a blackout, for example?
Well, certainly the Russians have pioneered that playbook and have used it extensively in region against Ukraine. The Iranians we have seen certainly targeting utilities over a fairly extended period of time, and they have also done destructive attacks. That hasn't necessarily translated into actually taking power grids offline. That's a completely different level of expertise. But all of those things, frankly, should be on the table when it comes to planning for defending.
And Ron, let me pull you back in here, because you seem to take a little bit of a different point of view, that perhaps we wouldn't see a mass blackout type scenario. Why do you think that?
So Iran has many options when it comes to taking action in cyberspace. If they did something like attack the city of Baltimore, attack the city of Atlanta, and claim credit for it, they're going to invite a strong response from the United States. I don't think they're going to do just that. Having said that, their primary goals in cyberspace are going to be gathering information and gathering intelligence about U.S. policy. So anybody who's a vendor for the United States or working with the U.S. government, they're potentially a target, and they should be, giving a second look at their cyber defenses.